When we look at the ancient world, few empires stand out quite like the Roman Empire. The Romans built an empire that stretched across continents, transformed societies, and left a legacy that still influences us today. But here's something interesting. Rome didn't build this greatness entirely on its own. Rome wasn't an empire that started it with everything figured out. In fact, much of its greatness came from its ability to adopt and adapt the best features of the cultures it conquered. The Romans took what was valuable from the people they encountered, and they didn't just take it. They improved it, they made it their own, and in doing so, they became the fountainhead of urban civilization. So, what does this mean for us? Is there a lesson in this for the way we approach excellence in our own lives, careers, and leadership? Absolutely. The principle of adopt and adapt is a crucial process for achieving excellence in almost every area of life. Let's break this down. The first part of the equation is adopting, taking inspiration from the best practices, ideas, and techniques from those around us. In Rome's case, it was adopting things like Greek philosophy, Egyptian architecture, and military tactics from various cultures. These were the building blocks, the tried and true ideas that already worked. Instead of reinventing the wheel, the Romans saw value in learning from others. They looked around, studied what was working for others, and they said, that's worth keeping. For us, adopting means staying open to learning. It means recognizing that you don't have to have all the answers on your own. There is wisdom everywhere, from the people around you, from books, from experiences, from history. Adopt the best ideas and start applying them in your own way. Don't be afraid to borrow from others, because in doing so, you're setting yourself up to grow. Think about it in terms of leadership. The greatest leaders don't have all the answers. They surround themselves with people who bring different skills, backgrounds, and perspectives. They adopt what works from others to enrich their own approach. This is how you stay relevant, how you stay ahead of the curve. But adopting isn't enough. The real power comes in adapting what you've learned to fit your unique context. When Rome adopted aspects of Greek culture, for example, they didn't just mimic it, they made it their own. Roman architecture, for example, took the Greek columns and temples and evolved them into more functional, grandiose structures. Think aqueducts and the Colosseum and the Pantheon. Rome didn't just copy, it transformed, expanded, and adapted. The same goes for us. Once you adopt the best practices, you have to adapt them to fit your own reality. You have to personalize them. Maybe you're learning a new leadership technique or a time management strategy. Adapting that strategy to your personality, your company, or your team is what truly makes it effective. Adaptation is about taking the essence of what you've learned and evolving it to suit your needs, your challenges, and your opportunities. This is where innovation happens. True excellence comes not just from adopting what's been done before, but in making it work for you and pushing it further. Don't just follow the trends, adapt them to become something uniquely yours. Now let's bring this a little closer to home. This process of adapting and adapting. It's just not just for the empires or businesses. It's for personal growth. Think about your own life. How many times have you taken inspiration from someone, maybe a mentor, a colleague, or a public figure, and said, I want to do that. I want to be like that. I want to think like that. That is adopting. But it's what happens after that adoption that matters. It's about how you adapt that information or that skill to fit in your own context, your own life. You don't become the person you admire by copying them. You become a better version of yourself by adapting their strengths and making them your own. In sports, for example, athletes constantly adopt training techniques from others, but it's the great ones who adapt these techniques to fit their own bodies, their own needs, and their own mindset. If they don't just follow a formula, they make it their own and take it to the next level. In your career, it's the same. The best professionals adopt strategies and mindsets from the industry leaders, but then they adapt them to create new innovations, unique approaches, and breakthroughs that make them stand out. Here's the thing. Adopt and adapt isn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous process. Rome didn't stop adapting after it built its empire. It kept evolving, taking new ideas and transforming them to stay relevant. The process of growth, excellence, and innovation is never static, and neither is our own journeys. To keep growing, to keep improving, to keep achieving excellence, we have to continuously adopt what works and constantly adapt it to who we are, what we need, and the world around us. The key to excellence is simple, yet profound. Adopt the best, then adapt it to create something extraordinary. Whether you're building an empire, leading a team, or just growing yourself, adopt and adapt the best strategies, ideas, and skills from the world around you. Learn from the past, innovate for the future, and make lessons of your own. Because that's how you build something great. That's how you create a legacy. That's how you become the fountainhead of your own success. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Adopt what works, then adapt it, and make something truly remarkable.